Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you all are doing great. So it's been how many days in the office, and like people are already counting how not great this administration has been to people that look like me. And the fact that all these things are not making headways or making headlines or people speaking about it, it's something that I am not surprised because when it comes to Black people, everybody tends to ignore it. It's fine, right? Now, I am going to say this. I see white people, I see Palestinians, I see Hispanics, Latinos, all of them calling Black people to assist them, calling Black people to speak up. How much have you done for Black people? How many times have you spoken up for Black people? Now, Black people may be experiencing over policing, which is actually not new. Black people have been experiencing this all this while, but it's the behavior. And the fact that when black community is also over police, and there is also immunity given to the police, you all know what it means. When they give them immunity, it means anything can happen. And anything can happen to someone that look like me, and the police will not be held responsible for it. Why? Because they are immune. All these things were the things that Black people kept screaming about in Project 2025, but they called Black people liars. They said Black people are the cause of everything going on. But I am not seeing you people speaking up, but you want Black people to push down the mountain for you. Let's get into this video.
I heard about Project 2025 and Donald Trump being a threat. It was also talking to us uniquely as Black people, whether we're talking about police immunity, whether we're talking about defunding, public education, whether we're talking about, raising the price of, healthcare. All those things uniquely impact Black people. So when we're saying we're going to sit this one out, we're going to rest and we're going to this, that, and the other, it's like, at what point in time do we say it's time to now get into action? You know what I'm saying? When is it now no longer time to rest? And I get that it's going to be different for everybody. I'm not trying to tell nobody when they should rest, when they should act. My question becomes, when do you do it? Is it after all of the Latinos and Afro-Latinos is immigrants saying deported? Is it when half of them deported? Is it when the state education is now teaching our children that we were better off enslaved because at that time we had the family intact? Is it going to be when, trans people have to, carry around their papers and prove their humanity? Is it going to, when does it come time, you feel me, for us to swing into action? Resting is important though. It's not resting for the sake of resting. It's resting to be able to get that clarity, get that strength. And it's time that we think uniquely about rest.
If you're newer to my page, I've been keeping a running list of things this current administration is doing that negatively impact Black people. Now, some things are targeted specifically to Black people. Other things have a disparate impact, which means that in practice, it may look neutral on its face, but in practice, it's going to impact Black people more negatively. Okay. And so I keep this list. I have a highlight over here that's 47 in Black people where I'll put the videos I make about this list, but I also keep the list over on Substack. So it's now 2 lists. I had to break it down into quarters. So Q1 is up, and then I have part 2, which is Q2. It's long. Why am I doing this? Because I found that during the election last year, I was talking to Black people who were debating their vote. They were curious about, is he a good option for me? And I'm like, no, he was racist. And they're like, well, what did he do? And it was a genuine question. And when I went to look for things, I only could find like 3 things that were listed out online involving Black people. But I was like, no, there's more than that. And so I'm not going to depend on journalists to keep a list for me. I'm keeping my own list, and it is long and it is detailed, and can't nobody tell me that this current administration is good for Black people. Part 1 really focused on those executive orders that he was signing at lightning speed. Part 2 is more about the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, which is under attack. And I knew this was going to happen. Honestly, this is probably one of the biggest concerns for me. So CNN released an article this week that says Trump turned civil rights upside down and biggest rollback since Reconstruction. You can click the link and read that article here. Very interesting stuff. Also, a few weeks ago, there was an article. Let me find that one. Trump upends DOJ Civil Rights Division, sparking bloodbath in senior ranks. People are leaving because of the changes that are being made. So what's happening is he's walking away from some cases that really directly impact Black Americans. So here's one. Towards the end of the Biden administration, they filed a suit alleging the Mississippi State Senate paid a former black staff attorney about half the salary of her white colleagues in violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. They have dismissed that case. There's a case involving segregation in Louisiana schools, and they have dropped that case. I think the case, it went on for decades. I think it was they were still monitoring them. And so if you're thinking, people are like, oh, they won't get rid of Brown v. Board of Education. There was an effort by Biden to respond to environmental justice or inequities that were happening, especially in Black and brown communities. And so in Alabama, there's a county called Loudoun. There's a really good documentary about them and the right to vote. Highly recommend. They've had long history of sanitation issues, literal sewage backing up into their homes. And so Biden made an investment to this community to fix this issue. And the reasons they have been ignored, or this issue have been ignored, is tied to this area being majority Black. And so Trump has called this illegal DEI, and they are not going to be paying that money. Y'all. Harriet Tubman was removed from the National Park Service website about the Underground Railroad. This to me, this is kind of a little personal to me because it's the Texas State Bar, but I think it's really indicative of what's happening as well. So the Texas State Bar, which I'm a member of, disinvited the NAACP president, Derrick Johnson, because the NAACP is sued about the dismantling of the Department of Education. And the State Bar said it was too political. So he will not be able to speak at a Juneteenth event in Houston. In Texas. I think it's going to be in Austin. This shows you the political climate where even the NAACP, one of the most storied civil rights organizations in our country, that they're seen as too political for doing what their role is to actively support the rights of Black Americans. The academic freedom attacks on Harvard, I think, are really important to note too. And so there's this really weird quote. He was interviewed. There was some kind of panel with Stephen A. Smith, which I think is already crazy enough that Stephen A. Smith people should not be trying to platform in the political space to begin with. And so he was asked about the academic freedom challenges at Harvard, and he responded by saying there's riots in Harlem about Harvard, and the Black voters supported him. There's some proposed budget cuts to Howard University. They're still kind of parsing those pieces out. And other thing is that he continues to spread. In a recap of his first 100 days, he is, I forget the magazine, but the article is linked on here. He keeps lying about the numbers of support that he has from Black voters. He's saying that Black men supported him 38% this go around. That's not true. And this matters because this people use this to justify, oh, he's not racist. Look how many Black people support him. And it's not true. He does not have that kind of support. Has his support grown? Yes. But he does not enjoy black voters are one of the strongest voting blocks that votes against him. He does not enjoy support from Black voters. There's also been some cuts to the federal housing program as well, which will definitely impact Black voters. Article here about how the federal job cuts are going to impact the Baltimore Black middle class, which was built by those federal jobs. A number of things here, but highly recommend checking these things out. Again. Oh, here's an important one out of LA. There's a sheriff's deputy named Trevor Kirk who's white. He was convicted by a jury of a felony civil rights violation for a violent arrest of a Black woman in California. So he was convicted by a jury for a felony. The DOJ is now moving to strike the jury's decision and go forward with a plea agreement for a misdemeanor that will allow him to go back to being a police officer. Don't come tell me this is not going to impact Black people, because the impacts are very clear and direct. Most of them aren't even disparate. This is specifically targeting Black people, and it's arguing that Black people do not deserve protections by our federal government. And if you know anything about history and the history of civil rights, federal government is how we got most of our protections. You couldn't depend on those states. You had to go to the feds. And if the feds aren't there to check the states, we are in trouble. If you're newer to my
So in the 3 months that this man has been president, for the most part, the Black community has been home, enjoying their families, taking care of themselves and their mental health. You've seen us online talking about different ways that we'll spend our money, boycotting certain businesses and institutions economically. We've maintained time and time again that we will not be taking to the streets and demonstrating the same way we demonstrated 5 years ago. And we've been adamant about the fact that the second we step out there, this administration is going to do something, or the people that support this administration are going to do something. We saw that happen firsthand in Philadelphia, where Black protesters were arrested, out of nowhere. But what have we also been saying? What have I also been saying when I make these videos? There is a need to provoke the black community right now. There is a need to get us pissed off, get us violent, and justify the fact that this president wants to use military force against black people. And not only that, he wants to do it in a way that feels justified. Get us angry, get us violent, get us destroying things. He can use the military against us and tell the rest of America that it is because we are so aggressive. And we haven't taken the bait. We've done a very good job of not taking the bait. But even still, this man gets in front of a camera, gets behind a microphone, and he says, we need police, we need military, we need law enforcement more in black communities. No mention of the neo-Yazis. Remember the neo-Yazis in Ohio who specifically went to terrorize a black community? No mention of that. It is getting really close to crunch time for the orange man and his regime, all right? They are struggling to keep the favor of the people. Now, we know the loud supporters are still out here talking about everything is great, they don't see anything wrong, and they're getting everything that they're voting for. But for the most part, America is not happy with this president. If they cannot change the subject, if they cannot change the narrative, if they cannot provoke our community so that they can establish a visual on who they want the bad guy to be, everybody's gonna see that this thing is not gonna last. And that's why I keep making videos like this, and that's why I keep saying the things that I'm saying. Pay attention to what they are trying to do. It is absolutely a struggle to stay popular when all of your policies are directly hurting your own voters. But if he can get that black community front and center and make us look like the bad guys, he'll be able to continue operating with full impunity. But without that, his days are numbered. I guarantee it.
There is no left in America. There is only fascism, which is where we're inching closer. Right there at the edge of the screen, that's where fascism is. We're right there, okay? We're right there. We're right there, okay? And then there's the Democrats, like a half step behind it. See, Democrats have coasted by for the past, I'd say 30, 40 years off just coming up with catchphrases and marketing and feel-good stories. And they've done everything they can to avoid doing what they need to do, which is the work. You see, it's not that they don't fight, it's that they won't fight. Because how some people are afraid of being labeled a racist so much rather than they'd rather combat racism? Well, Democrats would rather give us every empty gesture that's symbolic, that is hollow, that means nothing, that progresses nowhere, that advances nothing. And then just be like, what do you want us to do? Then be called out for the hypocrisy that they are, because they're bought and paid for by the same people. We're in a country that's being actively bled dry by a foreign agent. Now they're saying if you protest them, you're looking at 20 years. Nothing is ringing any alarm for MAGA. Nothing. It's not even a cult. These people are willingly ignoring the truth. I saw something the other day on social media where this guy was talking about Professor Mark Lamont Hill and why he's in the Joe Budden podcast. And I realized is that everyone thinks that there's something that's going to shield them or save them from fascism. And there's nothing. There's nothing that's going to save you from it. Everybody's going to get fucked over by it. Everybody. And there's nothing you can do. There's no amount of degrees. There's no amount of money. There's no amount of distance. There's nothing that's going to stop you from feeling the effects of fascism. And I need you guys to realize that. So while we look down on the people who are willfully ignorant or choose or the not as well read, while we look down on them, they said Lamont Hill is in these places because these are the people that we need to talk to. I've never seen Democrats willfully piss away their chances of winning an election with Newsom platform that big-headed little pinched face motherfucker Kirk. I've never seen it. You cannot placate with bullies. You can only fight back against bullies. This is not Family Matters is not an after school special. This is real life. You need to fight back. You need to tell these motherfuckers no. You need to make a stand. You need to do anything. I'm telling you, dog, these people do not care. They, as long as they don't get labeled a hypocrite. But you know what? They're all hypocrites and they're all complicit. From the newspapers to the journalists, down to the medical care system, down to the politicians, you name it, it's corruption all the way through. That's one thing that MAGA does know, that it seems that the Democrats don't get, is that there is corruption through and through all the way down. But what do we do? What do we do? You know what we do? We find every Democrat who is co-sponsored or voted on or enabled or collaborated with the fucking enemy, and we find out when they're for re-election, and we start hitting the fucking canvas to make sure we sponsor somebody else. That is the only way they'll listen, is if you go after what matters to them. Their little smidge of power and their little pocket full of gold. That's it. We have to attack it head on. There is nothing that's going to save you. And there's no one that's going to save us. This is reality now. What are you going to do to work with it or change it? What are you going to do?
And then I have a question for the Wig supporters. Do y'all remember when y'all swore that Mexicans were stealing your jobs? How do you feel knowing that now it's Wig and Elon Musk? God damn it. And then Wig said he's selling visas for $5 million. Who in the hell is he trying to get over here? Pablo Escobar? And then a man was caught attempting to smuggle cocaine onto a plane under his toupee. We need to see what in the hell under Wig toupee. And then nobody liked Lizzo when she was fat, but now that she's getting small, y'all mad because she's not fat anymore. That don't make a lot of sense. And then Target lost billions of dollars. Oh, damn. All because black people? That much power? We're not our ancestors? We don't play that shit? Walmart, Amazon, you're next. And then they discovered a new strand of COVID in bats in China. Why in the hell are bats in China always starting shit? And then did y'all see the father, and I do mean father, who knocked Mario coins out of that little girl for bullying his son in his face repeatedly after he asked her to stop? I'm not saying he was right, but I bet I ass won't bully nobody else.
This is all I got from this video. I am going to say this. Sometimes I see people, everybody's actually busy calling Black people to help them. Everybody's actually busy looking for a way to drag Black people into some certain things. But Black people are actually going through it. Why am I saying this? I am saying this because people do not want to be of help to Black people. People do not want to identify with Black struggles. People do not want to speak about Black struggles. And also, Black struggles, most times, you will not see it on any headlines or anywhere what Black people are going through or what is going on in Black community. It will never make any headline, right? But this is in third month already, and all these things are happening. I am not seeing anybody coming out to, oh yeah, Black people, I know it's really been a very tough time for you people. They've been going back and forth, like poking you people and trying to probably over policing is already, it's not something new. It's something that they've been doing. But now there will be more Black police presence in Black community. Meaning what? When they over police Black community, you know what happens when that happens? That's why each day we wake up, they want to tell you about how Black people are this, Black people are that, when in their own community, they do not experience all this. And all these things are happening within a very short period. You heard all the list, what the sister called all out. In 3 months, nobody will talk about what a Black problem, but they want Black people to go to heaven and come back on their behalf. The ones that are pro-Palestinians will go to heaven and come back for Palestinians, but they will never speak up over what is going on in Black community. And they will still see all this and not speak on it, but they still wanted to go out there to defend them, White people, you will never hear them talk about Black struggles over how Black community is being over policed. How we wake up every day, they call Black people names and all that. How the system has already been built just to make sure that to suppress them. You will never hear anybody say that. But just how many months that Black people say we are not coming out? It's been like 100 years. And then you get to hear stories like Black people, it's only Black people that can save this nation, but they just to sit down. Let them sit down. Let them sit. Bye for now.